A sovereign state requires a comprehensive, unified constitutional jurisprudence to govern the complex machinery of a nation. This legal framework must move beyond personal ritual to address statecraft, agricultural policy, and the administration of national institutions like the temple. Maimonides designed the Mishneh Torah to meet these requirements, drafting an architectural blueprint for a fully functioning sovereign government. By the 16th century, the historical reality had shifted. The Jewish people existed as a scattered diaspora, navigating life as a stateless minority. Rabbi Yosef Karo's Shulchan Aruch reflects this era. It legislates the laws applicable to life in exile, focusing on the needs of communities living under foreign rule. The scope of this work is inherently limited to the survival of a fractured people, rather than the governance of a unified state. The 1492 Spanish expulsion shattered the stability of the Jewish world, forcing thousands into a sudden and desperate search for refuge. As Sephardic refugees entered established communities across the Mediterranean, their arrival triggered immediate legal and cultural friction between different groups. This mass migration created a crisis of authority. Conflicting customs and legal rulings threatened to dissolve the internal cohesion of these scattered communities. In the city of Safed, Rabbi Yosef Karo attempted to resolve this fragmentation and bring order to the growing legal chaos. His first project, the Beit Yosef, was a monumental effort to trace every contemporary ruling back to its original Talmudic source. The Shulchan Aruch followed as a condensed digest. It provided the masses with a clear, accessible set of rules to ensure practical unity in their daily lives. Karo produced a necessary survival guide for a people in transition. To manufacture this unity, Karo employed a specific methodology that broke with traditional legal derivation. Instead of deducing from the Talmud, Karo used a formula, following the majority of three rabbis, the Rif, the Rosh, and Maimonides. This prioritizes head count over accuracy. If two shared a misunderstanding, their vote became law, creating a structural disconnect from the Talmud itself. Karo's formula ensured immediate communal stability at the cost of the rigorous precision required for a sovereign constitution. The intellectual environment of 16th century Safed was defined by the rise of Lurianic Kabbalah. Karo's personal diaries, such as the Magid Meshurim, show he was deeply engaged with the mystical ideas circulating in the city. This environment influenced the legal climate of the time, as mystical concepts began to merge with the rational requirements of Talmudic law. Reclaiming a system of rational jurisprudence requires a return to the original legal sources, free from these exilic, mystical additions. Modern narratives often claim that every Jewish community universally accepted the rulings of Moran, Rabbi Yosef Karo. However, the historical evidence directly contradicts this sweeping claim. Across Europe, Ashkenazi communities continued to follow the Rema rather than Karo, arguing that local tradition and independent Talmudic analysis could not be ignored. Major Sephardic centers also maintained their ancestral customs, frequently ruling against Karo when his work conflicted with their established practice. We see this persistence today in rituals like Kapparot, which Karo explicitly forbade, yet remains a common practice among his followers. Karo's own responsa provide a different perspective on how he viewed the authority of his own work. In his collection of legal answers, Avkat Roshel, Karo addresses the limits of his code in Responsa 32. He was asked if a community following the traditions of Maimonides should be forced to adopt the rulings of the Shulchan Aruch. Karo ruled that communities with an established tradition should not be coerced to change, stating that such enforcement was prohibited. The idea of universal acceptance is a historical fiction. No major communities surrendered its primary constitutional traditions. Re-establishing national authority requires a return to the foundational sources of Jewish law. The Talmud remains the binding constitutional document for the Jewish people. It derives this status from being the final work formally ratified by a consensus of the nation's supreme scholars. This diagram shows the direct line of authority, moving from Sinai through the Talmud to Maimonides. The Shulchan Aruch is a lateral exilic branch. The Talmud is permanently binding, representing the national sages' consensus. Ratified nationally, its authority cannot be overridden by local diaspora codes. the Talmud remains the ultimate legal authority until the eventual restoration of the national Supreme Court. Maimonides' Mishneh Torah is the most precise and textually accurate expression of that Talmudic tradition. Loyalty to the original legal text requires following Maimonides, as his work aligns exactly with the objective reality of the Talmud. This aerial view of the Supreme Court of Israel represents a restored, sovereign state. The comprehensive legal system provided by Maimonides is the only framework capable of meeting the needs of this modern nation. A sovereign people cannot be governed by a code that was intentionally designed to be incomplete. Transitioning back to a national constitution requires setting aside restrictive legal habits developed during the diaspora. This shift isn't a rejection of Rabbi Karo's historical work, but a restoration of a legal system temporarily narrowed by the conditions of exile. Maimonides provides the only path loyal enough to the Talmud to serve as a national baseline. Reclaiming this bedrock of objective law is the necessary step toward reinstituting the ultimate Jewish court.